Well, I know I've been saying it for a while, but we really are getting down to the final push here before the lambs come. And there's one thing I really got to get done before they come, and that's get my lambing pens. They're called lambing jugs. I've got to get those set up and ready in case some of these lambs show up a few days earlier than I'm expecting. I've got to be prepared for them. So I need to get that done. I need to go out and move the hay feeder where I'm feeding the ewes hay. It's getting pretty muddy out there with the snow that we had that's melted and soaked into the ground. We've had quite a bit of rain over the last week, so it's getting pretty bad out there. I need to move their hay feeders so they're not walking in that mud anymore. The other reason for moving the hay feeders, besides just getting the ewes out of the mud, is I want to encourage the ewes to stay somewhere a little cleaner. When they start having their lambs, I don't want them, a lot of times they'll want to have them sometimes right around the hay feeders. I guess they think that's a little bit of protection or something. So I try to set the hay feeders where it's a little cleaner, but also in a position and somewhere that it makes it easier for me to look out there and see if something has some new lambs. I've got some cameras on the back of the barn. I can look out that way quite a bit, but at nighttime, the cameras can only see so far, and they can't see anything that's back behind one of those hay feeders. So I try to keep that in mind while I'm setting those feeders around. But let's get the lambing jug set up, get the hay feeders moved, and then I guess we'll just see where the day goes. In the last video, you saw me cleaning this stall out so I could get everything ready for these lambs. I think I'm gonna make a change to things. These are the panels that I use for my lambing jugs. Now these attach by these brackets that I have screwed into the wall. I just drop a pin in here to hold these panels to the wall. Some of them I just use about a 5 or 6 inch bolt. They're 1/2 inch bolts. Some of them I've got a 1/2 inch rod that goes all the way down through them. The problem I found out that I've got with these, and you can look at one of my past videos and see how I made these panels and the brackets. In fact, here's one of the brackets here that actually, this is how I fasten them to the wall. I just screw this lag bolt into the wall, and then you've got the piece of pipe here for the pin to go in. But I made these, I laid it all out how I was going to do it. I put my brackets in, everything worked really good. And what I forgot to account for was throughout the lambing season, as you add bedding in here and things like that, now these get hard to swing. I also use these as the gate to get into the lambing jug. So with all the bedding, now I can't hardly open them. So I would like to raise these up as much as I can. The limiting factor is this hay manger. This has been here for years. I made this years ago and put it up. I really don't want to take it down because I don't want to get rid of it. Well, to be honest, this is as good a place to keep it as any. So what I think I'm going to do, I put this at this height so that I could get this bolt in here. I think I'm going to take these bolts out. I'm going to raise this up as much as I can. I'll put a bolt in from the bottom with a nut on it. That will keep this on here. I wanted to be able to pull the pins and take these panels off, but to be honest, this particular panel, I just don't ever take it off the wall. I just fold it back against the wall when I'm not using it, and that's where it stays. So it being bolted to the wall, I think is going to be fine. And then I'll set my height off of that one for all the rest of them. So I'm going to take this one apart, get this height set, and let's see how this goes, getting all these lined up with each other so they interlock the way they're supposed to. Now, how tight can I get up against there? With a nut and that. Just right at 2 inches. So I need to stay a little more than 2 inches below that. I may have to adjust screwing that in or out to get this panel to hang level. But let's make sure we can get that one on. This is going to be the most critical one. Everything else will have to be kind of built off of this one. I'm using nylock nuts on this. They have that nylon insert in them to lock this on because the nut is on the top side and I don't want it to come loose and the bolt fall out. And I also don't want to tighten this up really tight because I need the gate to be able to pivot on it. So using nylock nuts works really well on that. The one on the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and put a nylock nut on it too, even though the nut is going to be on the bottom, but I don't have to worry about it falling off. Before I go much further, I better make sure I've got things level. Well, it wouldn't hurt it to take the top in with the bottom out just a little bit. Since I've already got the nut in the top, I'm going to try taking the bottom out the turn. Well, that's not exact, but it's pretty close. Close enough for my sheet. Well, that doesn't give me a lot of clearance, but it does give about 3 inches under there probably. And this actually, right here is kind of a high spot. So I should have more clearance other places. When I swing the gate around this way, you can see I've probably got a good 4 inches underneath there. I believe it is going to help. I think that'll work. That's a little bit of an odd shaped pin. This side goes out a little bit, but I didn't want to have to make a special panel just for that length. These are 5 feet long and the ones across here are 4 feet. So I just made everything the same. That one just angles out a little bit because this pin ends up being a little bit narrower than the others, but the U does have a little bit of extra room out there. So now I can set up 2 more across here that are 5 feet deep and 4 feet wide. Get all my brackets set up for them and let's get these things set up. As I lay these out, I don't know if you noticed, the bracket on here on the end of this one is level with the top of the panel, whereas this one is dropped down. The reason they're done that way is so when I put the 2 panels together, I can put a pin through it and they're level. But I've got to keep that in mind when I put this other panel up. The 4 foot one that goes across here has to go in in the correct way, so I got to get that one turned around and hook it up to the wall the other direction. Wow, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday I was working on those lambing pens, getting those set up, when a neighbor stopped by. He was going to look at a tractor. He had a few questions he wanted to ask me about before he went and looked at it. So I ended up talking to him for a little while about tractors and different things. You probably know how that goes when somebody stops by. But anyway, then the grandkids showed up, and I actually put them to work like I said I was going to in the last video, and we got all those branches cleaned up, those limbs and everything, got them hauled out, piled up, burned up, got that mess cleaned up. And then I just spent the rest of the day with them and didn't really get anything else done, other than I did get the hay troughs moved out here out of that mud like I said I was going to. I didn't get it on video, but it was just a matter of picking them up and moving them with the tractor. The snow is supposed to change over to rain before too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and get some more hay out there for the ewes, make sure the rams are all in good shape, get all that stuff done before it does start raining, and then I'm gonna get back on the lambing pens and get those finished up. Other than that, we'll see how it goes. There you go, girls. Well, they may not show on the camera, but it looks like the boys are ready for another bale too. Better get them one. Well, this bale busted when I threw it down, so I guess I'll load this one a piece at a time. You get back in there. Psst, psst, psst. You boys behave yourself. let's get you some salt while we're at it.